a lot of potential counterplay. Here we do have Zerath being banned out, likely a target ban, but Zerath is such a strong champion. He's very good at a long range. He can completely shut down mid laners and does a lot of damage.
He has so much wave clear as well that it's impossible to get even close to his tower. A Zerath versus Ziggs match is something that I would like to see sometime today.
Morgana and then LeBlanc quickly being banned out afterwards. A lot of focus on the mid lane here by the blue team. I do believe they are picking one individual from red side and saying, you're not getting any of your champions, bud, not today. Where on red team, they've got the Morgana gone, but who's going to go next? We have the Braum still open with the Morgana ban. I would not be surprised to see them ban both of those because blue team could just first pick the Braum. It's a strong and viable first pick. Tristana going to be the next ban.
I'm actually not surprised with this one. Tristana has been a late game threat throughout the last games, but with her early game being shut down, the other champions just have so much time to get even bigger than she could be, and then just snowball even further through the late game to destroy every tower that she can try to defend.
Tristana definitely an example of one of the few times you really got to sit back and say, Riot nerfed that properly. They did a good job of making her still completely viable and in many ways top tier, but in so many ways made it so she is definitely just a late game champion. She's not an early game champion. She's not going to win a lane phase. She just wants to farm and not die, and Braum's the guy to do it. But we haven't seen him yet, so we're just going to get rid of Tristana instead.
That is a very good point. The Braum is still up for grabs, and down goes the Rengar. That is something I am surprised to see.
Must be his focus ban. Here goes the Lucian. Lucian, such a dominant force. No Tristana to be on the other side, so Lucian will pretty much win any lane here if he gets a decent support to back him up. Now it becomes, if you match that ADC with a Graves, with perhaps a very well played Aquin, I will give you that, or even if you were to play it very passively through something like a Kog'Maw, you need the support to back that up. And speaking of things that don't work passively, Leona's locked in.
Let's see what AD carry they pick up to go along with this Leona.
That's huge.
With Leona, you'll need major initiation, such as a Corki or a Graves, and they pick up the Malphite for either the top lane or the jungler.
So this is a very strong engage from the red team. They're going to go in, they're going to fight you. If red team hesitates to properly pull the trigger, I would be very afraid for them in these fights. Most definitely want to see blue team counteract this by having the ability to elongate and really in many ways disengage from these fights so they can turn around in their favor and use their already high damage carry to their advantage.
I completely agree with that. The comp for blue side can go so one-sided if they just pick the proper solo laners for this. So far it looks like they're picking up an Annie support to go along with that Lucian for the major burst damage as well as the easy engage off of her Q with the passive proc. Here it could honestly be a bit better of a support with a Thresh, but right now, even Braum's open. They can easily switch that after hovering for a Braum, and then, they go with the Lee Sin and the Annie.
So let's talk about my favorite champion for a second. My favorite champion is Annie, perhaps the most dominant champion just from the kit. Annie has the ability to kill you no matter who you are if she is even slightly at the proper point where she is in any point in the game. If she's level 6, she can kill you. Doesn't matter if she's support, doesn't matter if she's mid lane, she can kill you. And because of that, with her stun weaved in there, she's a very effective champion. I don't know if there's going to be support or mid lane. There hasn't been a mid laner picked onto the blue side, but Annie is a dominant force. If put into that bot lane with Lucian creating the Amber Alert, we may have a very, very powerful, very aggressive bot lane for blue team.
That could be, and looking at what the top laner for blue team may be picking, he may pick a Lissandra, he may pick a Ryze, even a Maokai. Anything to shut down the early game of Malphite will be very, very crucial at this point.
Ziggs being hovered, that would likely be mid lane, so it will be a support Annie. Definitely something you had to swallow hard to do as blue team, because Annie does not usually go well against the Leona supports. Bit surprised to see that one locked in, but it does show confidence. Bitter Oblivion gonna be put on the spot if he's the support to definitely perform on that Annie and make sure that she gets fed along with Lucian, and then after that bot lane's over, it will basically be no stopping that kind of a powerhouse duo.
Could this be a Kassadin we could be seeing for the first time today?
Nope.
It might be. He might just be messing with us, going back to the main pick of Orianna.
He's only messing with if he hovers Gnar. I want to see Gnar. Gnar is Nar is perhaps the most interesting champion, so many different ways to play him, but here we were likely not going to see that as the Orion has been elongatedly hovered. Blue team has some interesting aspects to them with the Rise. That's very late game based normally. Rise does not overtly dominate any lane. He just looks to farm up, stay passive, and then split push later if necessary. But if he can team fight, he can just walk up to your carry, lock him down, and get an easy kill onto him. The high engage from red team isn't going to matter if Rise is just walking straight at him. They can't waste everything on him.
That was a very good point. But if we look at Red Side's team, they have so much engage with the Jarvan, with the Malphite, with the Leona, with the Orianna, and then Jinx just staying in the backline with her rockets on, continuously bursting them down with her infinite edge in team fights, just continuous. And then once she has a chance, ult their AD carry if possible. If not, take out one of their front line with it. And then from there, just continue poking and poking until they eventually fall and have no defenses left except for their inhibitors.
Yeah, they have a lot of potential, and their engage is huge. But I've got to say, blue team is a lot different. They've got so many damage threats. From Lee Sin to Rise, they have just damage. Lucian's going to do a ton of damage. Annie, even if she goes full utility-based Annie or tankier-based Annie, she's still going to get a lot of damage on the back of her stuns, so she can be a huge threat. Ziggs is always a huge threat with those spawns from the side, very long range, very good at wave clear. So because of that, it's going to be hard for red team really to CC everything, because if they leave anything, that will be the thing that kills them this time, and if they CC that one next time, then something else will kill them instead. It's very difficult for an all-engaged, properly based team composition to kill a pure damage team, because the pure damage team will always have somebody dealing great DPS.
That is a very good point. But if we look, the Annie support with the Flash Tibbers with her stun proc up can get so many people caught out, because that Tibbers has such a large AoE once it spawns that it's impossible to run away from the passive proc. Even then, in the laning phase, Annie just has to Q or W and then continuously lock them down. Lucian has such good early game that with Annie support, it doesn't matter. He's just going to solo them anyways, and Annie's going to be there saying hi, just queuing them until they're low enough for Lucian just to double shot. It's going to be that easy for them if they can play it properly.
That's absolutely true. My initial advantage will still go over to the blue team. I think they have that bit of their comp which just makes so little sense that comes together so beautifully. They are going to dominate the lane unless J4 is on the absolute top of his game. He is going to have to be very present in the bot lane to ensure that Leona gets good opportunities onto the Annie when they can take advantage of that. As well, he's got to stop Rise from farming and make sure that Ziggs doesn't as well just get pure farm. If Ziggs gets pure farm and Orianna gets pure farm and Orianna ever misses a shockwave, Ziggs is more effective. If Orianna has money on the shockwaves and stays even in farm, then Orianna does have the advantage, but that's where we have yet seen that happen so far in this game, in this tournament rather. Because of that, I've got to say I'm very worried for the red side. They've got a good composition, but if they do not execute it perfectly, it could very well be the thing that actually kills them.
It very might well be. With the Malphite ulti and the Orianna shockwave coming in to a team fight, that could be a huge decider. But the main thing they need to do is wait for Jarvan to initiate with his Cataclysm in order to lock them down in a very small area for the Malphite ulti into the Orianna ulti. If they don't do that, they have nothing left. If Jarvan gets a beautiful, at least 4-person Cataclysm, Leona ult, Malphite ult, Orianna ult, GG.
That's a ton of CC that you're talking about. It would definitely be about what gets the initiation. If Jarvan goes in first, he does line up a lot, but if you're talking about things which will accidentally get avoided, it's going to be those follow-up ultimates. If you go J4 ult into Malphite ults could just miss. They could end up flashing out J4 ult just to get away from J4 and end up inadvertently dodging Malphite ults. So normally you're going to see teams like this engage with either the Leona or the Malphite with J4 to follow up. Because of that, it's difficult to get that many people into that AoE, which brings up the you cannot CC all the threats kind of argument again, and it does make these compositions so unorthodox, yet in the same way, so interesting to see fight each other. Who are they going to focus? Who's going to get out of lane phase huge is going to be the decider of the game in so many ways.
Well, if we look at Blue Side's comp one more time, just here in the screen, they have so much CC off of the blue side as well. They have the Rise Runic Prison, they have the Ziggs Satchel Charge, they have the Annie passive, they have the Lee Sin ultimate, everything to get them towards Lucian, so he has so much time to dish out damage and just obliterate everybody.
We're about to load onto the Rift. Once again, I am anxious to see how this one's going to start out. Bot lane will be a huge focus. Can Leona use the early game disadvantage that Annie is always in just by not being a huge CC support initially, because she just does not have that huge amount of damage with her slightly lacking CC because of the nerfs to her passive. It could be the point where Red Team can pull ahead with their bot lane and then try and focus on the solo lanes later on.
If we look at how these teams are facing out right now, it looks like they're just going to go for their basic buff starts, not want to try starting any fights, except blue side's looking to get an easy catch out for that first blood.
Early aggression, this is a very Korean thing to do. What we're seeing from blue side, they just immediately run to this bush, look for a catch. If anybody goes towards that river bush, they're dead. If anyone gets too aggressive in the mid lane, they're dead. It's a very common thing that you see in high elo in foreign areas. Don't see it too much in NA, even at the higher elo. They are doing it here in 5s, and it might work quite well if Orianna does get baited by Rise, which she very well could be.
Well, with Orianna throwing that ult, or the ward, into the side brush, not throwing it into that long brush connecting from mid down to river to bot, that could easily, if she placed it there just to be safe, to get vision slightly into the river, yet still in there, that could make a huge difference between all of this.
Minions have spawned.
Right now, though, it looks like they might just have to back off of their own aggression. Red Team has used Malphite to ward up that top side buff, so that will be pretty safe. Rise now making his migration over to the top lane. Orianna a little bit too far forward. They don't have easy CC. They actually go through. The ward just died from Orianna. They don't know that they're there. They must have seen it placed and then timed it. Now they're able to contest this buff. Before them are over, Lee Sin's going to use his Q to get him to the other side onto Leona, but he gets locked up pretty quickly. Now Leona taken quite low here. Will actually manage to just get away, but the flash from Lucian will be enough, as now Jarvan's in the bad position. He's going to go down as well. Lucian with the double kill. Here, Jinx has to back away, and it will be an easy blue buff. They saw the ward get placed in the bush. They timed it. An amazing play there by blue team.
That was fantastically played, giving both kills to their AD carry to make bot lane even easier for him in this instance. Against Jinx, Lucian can easily excel, dishing out insane damage right there, bringing her down to half health, forcing her to pop the health pot, making it so she has less sustain in lane, as well as having the Leona having to follow up with those. It's going to be pretty hard for a Jinx who gets far behind, where Lucian gets his E, level 2, dodging out of the Jinx chompers, making it very, very difficult for Jinx and Leona to stay in this lane without getting harassed.
Lee Sin now going to look to secure the triple buff start as J4 very reluctantly just walks over to his red buff. But look at Lee Sin, he's in Jarvan's jungle. He wants to take this buff as well. Jarvan sees him, but there's nothing he can do. He's already so low. Oh my goodness, Teme is just going to end J4's buffs. That is borderline BM. It is just so well done.
The way that they're playing this game out already on blue side is fantastic. The early invades from Lee Sin, knowing that Jarvan was very, very low already from that blue buff getting taken out there, already set behind Lee Sin. Lee Sin having that level 2 over Jarvan, setting him even further behind, now makes it so much easier for Lee Sin to get the easiest ganks of his life out, compared to the Jarvan who needs his 6 in order to do something fantastic.
Lee Sin could land the Q here and fall that one through, but he's just going to go just to the right.
Just barely whiffing that one.
You saw Annie already be so, oh my goodness, the max range Q from Lucian is not going to be enough. Jinx just going to swallow that one and back once again. Orianna in this mid lane is getting poked down so quickly, and blue team, they have so many threats across the map that you just can't stop them, and you can't do it in the lane phase either. When this team groups, it is going to be devastating to see.
Well, your points from before with blue side obviously are coming true. Their early game composition has been outstanding to this point. We're not even 5 minutes in, we already have 3 kills on the map. Are you kidding me? I do not believe it.
Not even 5 minutes in, and these kills on the map, but they're from invade. Is that huge? Not really. Lucian does not get a ton of gold from that, and really, if it wasn't for the fact that J4 lost both of his buffs, it wouldn't be that big of a deal for him either. He could have bounced back from that one. But right now, the biggest deal that I'm seeing is that in this bot lane where Leona, right there, should have shown her aggression, and she should be really pushing an Annie out of this lane at this point. With this level, Leona has so many advantages over the Annie-Lucian composition. Lucian's low on mash, she just got to go in, get some kills down, and then her team is back into this one. But right now, they don't even have a single lane, which is in their control.
Well, the Rise versus Malphite top.
Oh, here she goes. And Lucian is actually there right in time. Leona waited for too long. Now Lucian is on to Jinx, who's low on max. Bitter Oblivion will pick up Leona.
Well, in this top lane, Rise has all the poke he needs and the harassment to keep Malphite at bay, trying to keep him off a farm, and obviously it is working fantastic. 29 to 13 the farm in top lane. Rise started with that aggressive mana crystal to the Rise, or to the Malphites. Early,
Randy will just barely get away, and Timmy will finish off that one. Amazing play by the blue team. They know when they can go aggressive, when they have to back, and so far they've not found very many instances where they actually have to back.
Well, when you're ahead 5 kills to nothing, 2-0 on Lucian, 2-0 on Lee Sin, you don't really have to back when you have all this early game aggression that you can stay with. You may be low on mana, but does that really matter when you auto-attack someone to death this early?
It's definitely showing to be a bit of an issue for the red team. They want to show some aggression in this game, but at this point, who are they really going to be able to focus down? They've got to rely on Jarvan. As I said earlier, he's got to find a way into this game, but where is he going to go? He can't go to the top lane. Rise will just use his Rune Prison and get out. He can't really go to the mid lane because Orianna, 1, right now isn't there, and 2, Ziggs is just the bigger threat. Orianna, imagining to keep even in CS, is just not as big of a deal as Ziggs if he has mana.
That is a very good point. But if we shift our focus to the lane that I feel will carry this extremely hard, is the blue side bot lane. With Lucian already having that BF sword at before even 10 minutes, because he may have backed, but that was fantastic on his part, being ahead by CS by so much, as well as having that early 2 kills, giving that extra level that he needs. Him having that BF sword can upgrade his aggression so much onto Jinx that I'm stuttering over my words right now.
And it is true, Jinx is having such an issue farming this lane because Annie's got complete control of it. She'll stun whenever they come forward. She's not even level 6 yet, she's dealing so much damage. She's building pretty appropriately, going with a little bit more of a support-based build, but at the end of the day, that's perfectly fine to do in this scenario. They don't have to worry about Leona going in. She's not going to have the confidence to do so because she has to go in onto the Lucian, and the second she does that, Jinx just gets stunned, and then the stun is over. There is no stun from Annie though this time, but Leona not able to land much on the Lucian. He's actually focusing the cannon mini. He will pick that up, and more damage from the Q will allow more control for the blue team. There's nothing they can do. They just do not have the items, with a difference of a BF sword between the ADCs.
Lucian with a fantastic Q. Following up, fantastic.
Right at level 6, the Tibbers goes down. That'll be another kill. Annie's getting fed. Lucian's getting fed. Lee Sin, I'm pretty sure, has been in J4's jungle more than he's been in his own. This is just collapsing onto purple team's heads at this point.
Well, with this early game of aggression of Lee Sin being picked up early by the blue team in the champion pick and ban phase, made it such an easy thing. First picking that Lucian made it such an easy aggressive early game. Then picking up that Lee Sin makes it even easier for the easy ganks, which helps set up that invade early with that Q doing so much damage at level 1. And then with Annie, her stun is it's such a beast in lane because it lasts for quite a while.
Jarvan just walked over a ward over towards his own blue buff. He's going to find the bot lane, who actually does not pick up the blue buff. The smite is up, so he does manage to finally get a buff for himself, but again, so much is not going J4's way. He's staying 0-2 just from Lee Sin being too dramatically in his face at J4's buffs. Orianna, the only one so far who's done a great job of aggressing herself in this lane. Here comes Lee Sin though, looking to kick that out of effect, and here comes Sad Trust finishing that one up, and there is a huge kill for Ziggs. He's going to be in this lane quite well now. Orianna a little bit behind, and that's all it takes. Gold lead is now in Ziggs' favor, so all the lanes are in favor of the blue team.
And in top lane, Rise just has so much harass being a ranged champion over Malphite that even with his Rune Prison, you can see right here as a good example, he does so much damage.
Uses Rune Prison a little bit early for the second activation. Might have gotten a bit more damage on the Malphite, but I don't think he would have killed him there, so he still made a decent choice. Zig's going to get his first blue buff for himself. Walking back into that mid lane, he is going to be a dominating force. There's no blue buff available for Orianna, so with kills and gold and blue buff, I would expect to see Ziggs very quickly push Orianna under tower and to a very low health bar.
Well, this game right now is just one-sided towards blue. Having nearly a 6k gold lead is such a major advantage here just after 10 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a major dragon team fight early on.
Really, though, does blue team even need to go for dragon? Yes, it's an easy way to get more gold, but they've got so much, they just need to focus on the lane, take down the permanent objectives of towers, and then if the dragon is ever contested by the red team, just annihilate them there. They are going to go for it because it's so free right now because of how much Jinx and Leona have to stay back underneath the turret, so it's more free gold for them. But they even need it 6k up. They're just going to make the rotation in the mid lane. J4 is going to regret putting this as his first gank.
Good satchel charge, but
the Q lands. He goes in, and there's the ult to finish that one off. Down goes J4. Killing spree for Lee Sin. Here in the top lane, Malphite taking more damage under his own turret as Orianna is 1v1 against Ziggs, who has some backup by Lee Sin over to the side. Good amount of damage by Rise, but he could not get the Q off. He's going to flash for it, but he gets ulted. He might go down as well. There is a kill for Malphite. 1-for-1 trade in the top lane. Good job there.
That was very well played by Malphite.
The ulti. He just needs a little bit more ball movement. One more. There it is. There's the Q, and the Q from Lee Sin is not going to land. Orianna will walk away from that one. Some decent trade back over to the red side.
That was very well played by Orianna right there, placing her ultimate in the exact placement that she needed in order to get it. So then Lee Sin just follows her around, getting that kill, making sure that Ziggs did not die in vain.
Yeah, Ziggs definitely finally getting cut by Orianna, who's done a great job here in the mid lane. She's really sustained it out. She's got a slight CS lead. Though she is behind in overall gold, she is managing to still be an effective part of her team, and that might be enough to turn it around. If she can land that money ultimate, she might just be able to turn it around for a team. All they need is to get one team fight, and they're back in this game very quickly. But who else is going to do any kind of damage for the red side? I just don't know.
Well, with the way their comp is playing out right now and builds in total, besides just Orianna, if Jinx can just start farming, go back bot lane, start pushing it out a little bit more, they may have already gotten first tier, but push it to second tier and then start backing off, rotate towards that dragon once it spawns, just place some wards around there, get safe vision, and get that extra gold she needs, she can farm into the late game monster that she is meant to be. Always poking, always harassing, and then ulting people off from a distance to get that execute, which is a fantastic way to go.
And this is just a great showing by Basic Beaches. They're doing so well here, even on the loser side of the bracket. I doubt this is going to be the last time that we'll see them. They could go very far here on the bottom end of the tournament. They had a rough first game, but they fought it out well. Now they're looking like they might go on a winning spree if this is the level they're going to continue to play at. In the losing side, Lee Sin now going to get finally caught out in J4's jungle. He got a return on it. All the CC ultimates are going down. The Orianna ultimate actually completely misses off to the side there, but she will still pick up the kill. Lee Sin goes down. Another kill for the red team.
And now if we look topside with Rise having that Rod of Ages completed as well as his tier, this is going to be a hard lane for Malphite to even contest.
Yeah, Malphite's just getting poked out of it. He's got half of the CS of Rise. Rise just has control of the lanes. We're got a Roa. He's getting that stacked up very quickly. J4, though he's keeping up in CS, it's not as important to buffs. Buffs are going over to Lee Sin, whereas White Camp is going over to J4 at best. He's finally getting his first red buff, I believe, here at 13 minutes. It's just been Lee Sin's game. In the mid lane, though Orianna has done quite well, the gold lead is still in Ziggs' favor, mostly because of that global gold that's being funneled into him from dragons and from other turrets around the rest of the map. So it is allowing him to be in the lead over Orianna, and on the bot lane, once again, we see a reflection of the top side as Lucian is just completely dominating. Annie as well is almost more fed than Orianna.
Well, if we look at Lucian, he has been farming so perfectly this game. He's hardly missed any creeps for this point in time. Him and Rise are leading the game in terms of being able to fantastically execute creeps, push the wave without missing much, getting the extra gold from that, and taking advantage of their gold lead in their lane.
Orianna with a decent ward over the wall, spot out Lee Sin. Q's not going to be followed up as Ziggs showing up. This could be a very simplistic siege for the first inner tower, and as I said last game, you've got to break the second bit of objectives to start steamrolling games. If you want to snowball properly, you need to take this one out, but here goes Leona. She goes in with the ultimate, finds two. Lucian game lockdown, taking a good amount of damage, but Lee's to back him up. The flash ultimate from, oh my god, there's so much damage coming on the red side because of the Orianna ultimate after the ultimate from Malphite, but he's not focusing properly. His Rise is still on the backside, getting now backed up by Lee Sin, who will quickly try and tie as well because he cannot do enough damage over to Malphite as Ziggs is going to go down after getting Malphite for himself. That was a 5-for-4 battle, but what more could you ask if you were on red team?
Well, that fight went so well in red side's favor, barely having Orianna limp away from that fight. It was fantastically played. The perfect ultimate from Malphite with that shockwave as well set up that fight so perfectly on the damage that nobody could respond to it. They were all CC'd way too quickly with Jinx continuously harassing them with rockets in a very small area, continuously dealing damage, which was, in the end, the demise.
Well, let's look at the huge part of that team fight. You've got Orianna, who did so much damage from that shockwave. She managed to be the only one on her team to sustain, and as I said earlier, she needed to use her slight sustain in order to give her team a huge way back into this game, and that is the gate which has now been opened. They can start rotating and actually get some decent objectives. Dragon is coming up in 20 seconds. I would not be surprised to see them actually contest that and then try to move in the turrets. If blue team goes for Dragon, they need to lose mid-tower. That is the kind of things that red team can already do. They've closed the gap. It's now only at 6k gold lead. So they have opened up their options because they have this wombo combo composition. They can use the J4, use the Malphite, use the Orianna once again, and really turn this one around. Dragon is now live. They've got to use this to get back in the game. They have a short window of opportunity to get in on this one.
Well, Malphite having no summoners will make the Dragon fight even more interesting. Rise does not have TP, but he does have Flash. They will not be able to rotate down quick enough as top laners to the Dragon pit if there is a team fight that will break out. Having no TP for either side would have made that such a different fight.
And this is what is a little bit unfortunate. They've just given up the Dragon. They didn't even notice it was going down. So now Orianna getting caught up by the flash hitters of the Annie. And now she's gone. What more do they have? Jinx is not going to do much damage. She will quickly go down to the Ziggs ultimate as Lee Sin falls over the Q. We'll get also J4. Now Leona having to do a double tag in the middle of the jungle. We'll get chased out a little bit further. The Q will land. He's going to follow that one up through as well. She's walking over towards Tears. There's not much she can defend as the turret will quickly fall down. Here in the top lane, we had Malphite forced away from his turret as Rise takes that one down as well. Blue team has completely regained control. There was a small window, but when they had the opportunity to either contest Dragon or get the mid turret, they just didn't realize what was going on, and they lost the Orianna, and now Blue team can get the hit.
Well, the Orianna set up their entire window that they had to get that fight going. Everyone else was a little while behind everyone else that they were fighting. Orianna's ultimate set up that entire fight, and you can see that in the scores. The Malphite ultimate with the Orianna ulti, the Orianna ulti did all the work. The Malphite just kept them in spot for the ultimate to actually hit. Without that, no damage would have been dealt. Jinx would not be where she is at with that 4 assists from the Quadra of Ori, and keeping it so the game is at least somewhat close. Without Orianna, it wouldn't be even anywhere near each other.
With Orianna and Malphite still sustaining some kind of usefulness in this game, they do have an opportunity to do what they did before again, but they're so far behind in gold that it might not even matter if they do. They could get the perfect wombo combo off and find enemy champions still standing in a decent amount of health, and that's not something you can really deal with when your Jinx doesn't even have an infinity edge coming up towards 20 minutes. There's not too much left on the map for the red team. They've got to find some kind of an objective.
That is very true. Looking at how the comps are playing out even now in the mid game for how the score is, with that gold lead on blue side, with nearly a 12,000 gold lead, all of that has been funneled onto the appropriate champions. They're Lee Sin, who can get in behind, ult out their AD carry, and just make it an insane fight because their AD carry's gone. Jinx is irrelevant. But in this point, it was most likely to be their Orianna who gets
Oh, there goes the ultimate from Malphite. He's only going to find one with the ultimate as well from Orianna. Now he's underneath the towers. Lucian doesn't even go down. Malphite not going to be able to get away from this one. He'll go down here as well. Orianna on the wrong side of the map trying to run away, as so is Jinx. She has basically no health. She'll get killed by the satchel charge. Orianna still cutting away as here comes Tima on the Lee Sin. Orianna trying to do some kind of magic. She does have the double buff. She could use that red buff to try and get more damage out, but it's just not going to be enough. Lee Sin does have the attack speed to finish this one off, and she will go down.
Falls down to the red buff indeed, as Ryze is split pushing the bot inhib tower. This could change so much. He will not be able to get it, but he will be able to take it nearly fully down. Harassing J4 so hard right now, there is no way that they will defend this and the inhibitor.
The inhibitors and the inhibitor turrets of the red team are just not being able to be defended. There's nothing that red team can really do. They're down too much gold. It's now actually being spent by the blue team. They've got Ryze dead to rights 3v1, and they can't kill him. They can't catch him. He's too fast. Here comes Lee Sin. He's going to turn that one around. Gets a kick out on the Malphite. He's in the wrong position. He doesn't even have his ultimate. He gets stunned up by the Annie, trying to reposition himself to get some damage down, but it's not going to matter as Leona tried to help him out, but she's going to pay for that one with her life. Trying to flash away, but she's just going to get hit up once again by a little bit more slows. More damage from Lee Sin, and here comes J4. He wants to turn this one around relevant. He has no one how to back him up. He doesn't even get ready Orianna's shield, so he will go down here, as now it is up towards the inhibitors. Orianna being a little bit too far forward. He's going to get jumped on by Lucian. Calling comes out, but it's not going to find very many targets. He's going to just focus down the inhibitor. This is going to be too easy inhibs for the blue team.
As we see, the build differential between Lucian and Jinx at this point is so crucial. 21 minutes in, you just got your infinite edge. You don't even have second tier boots yet to get that attack speed. Lucian's already got second tier boots, infinite edge, and a static shift. He outfarms you by 50 farms and outkills you by 4 kills, has 3 less deaths and 3 more assists. That is such a deciding factor because Lucian will deal so much damage in such a short amount of time that you have no time to react, and then Baron could most likely go down as soon as they take out Jarvan.
At this point, red team is trying to find their way to counteract these pushes. They're losing inhibs and they're trying to re-engage on their spawns because the timers are still so low at 21 minutes. But they're not getting the opportunity. Leona's constantly missing Zenith plates, so she can't get the engage. And so far, she is not engaged with the ultimate. It's very easy for Leona to say, it's okay, I will use my Zenith plate afterwards, use the ult first, use the AoE stun, then get the direct stun to one target, kill them, and try to get some kind of a return. But it's just not happening here. And the 20k gold deficit at this point is absolutely crippling. There's nothing that you can really do on the red team to turn that one around when all the damage from the blue team cannot actually be focused. There's damage on Ryze, there's damage on Annie, there's damage on Lucian, there's damage on Ziggs, there's damage on Lee Sin. You can't shut down the damage and lock it up because it's everywhere.
That is a true fact. If we look at Annie's build, she's 3-1 and 10, built a Void Staff. That is going to bring out some insane damage because she already has such a strong kit for damage-based abilities that now Tibbers is going to do so much more when Annie flash engages, as well as her proc of her stun on her Q is just going to be insane to deal with. I don't know how Red Side's going to come back from this.
But you look at the infinity edges on both of the carries, but what else is on the carries as well? You got the static shiv on Lucian, so much damage coming out of Lucian, but so little coming out of Jinx, and she's supposed to be in these team fights where all the CC is going down. With the exception of Orianna, she's supposed to be the main source of damage. She just doesn't have it. Unless she manages to magically crit every single auto attack every single time, she's not going to be able to eat through all of the resistances already built up by the blue team. Ziggs is going to help out his team, finish off the Baron Nashor, and blue team, one last push is likely going to do it.
That is for sure. Looking at how well Lee Sin has played this game, having so much skill participation in this game, blue team, from early on with that invade, has had so much fun with this game, just taking objectives left and right, top and bottom. Everywhere they go, a tower falls, and including the Baron Nashor on their side now, it's going to be extremely difficult for Red to even clear them out of their own base.
Well, they really can't. They've got the 6th champion of the minions on blue team's side. This is just a slow roll to the end of the game. There is next to nothing that can be done by the red team. They've got triple buff Lucian, double buffs on the Ziggs and the Lee Sin, and there's been no roaming or potential to get anything onto the red side. Malphite stepping forward, he's getting his Banshees popped instantly, and his main damage dealing ability is being soaked up by the enemy carry. Is Lee Sin going to go in? He's going to help out, get down the Leona. Also coming out of Malphite is not going to be enough, as now 5 members of the blue team are behind the inhibitor turret. It's the only one left standing. They're going to look for more and more damage here, but they don't have anything they even have to bother contesting. The Flash Tibbers is going to get fined too, followed up by the Ziggs, followed up by the Lee Sin, and that'll be one more kill, yet another. They're diving the fountain at this point, and the Nexus is just gone.
That was such a very, very well played game by Blue Side. I don't think I've seen a game like that in quite a while.
They rotated properly, they got everybody fed, they had so many threats, and they used every single one of them properly. Congratulations to Basic Beaches. They did a great job in rounding this game out. And next up, we'll be looking for a round 2 game here in the losers bracket. We'll be back in just a moment to let you know what we're going to be watching next. Have fun, everybody, and good luck on the Rift.